Is it recording or no?
It ain't always summer in June.
So I just wanted to come on here and talk about how I got started at SoulCycle and how I became an instructor. Also how I fell into it with Variis and Equinox Plus. I just have been seeing everyone do their own fitness things and their own fitness ventures and like businesses, and I'm so proud and happy for everyone. And I just kind of wanted to come on here and, you know, if my journey inspires your journey or helps you out in whatever you're doing, then that's so awesome, you know? So let's just jump into it. I remember coming out of training, and in 2015, like right out of training, I was like, everything that they taught me, I was like, I'm not doing it. Nope, not doing it, not doing it. Throw it out the window. Like I was like, I'm not doing that. Nope. But before we get into that, let's start from the beginning. I was working at a cupcake shop in Beverly Hills, and it was called Sprinkles. And one of my coworkers would come in, she would be so sweaty, but she would be so happy all the time, like all the time. And so I had to ask her, I was like, girl, like you're always sweaty, but you're always happy and like you're in a positive mood. So like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, is everything okay? And she was like, no, there's this new place called SoulCycle, and like they flip on the bike and they got weights and they do this and every blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? So at the time, all I was doing was going to the gym. Like the only thing in LA that you could do was go to the gym. Like there were no boutique fitnesses in LA or any of those cool methods that we have now. That wasn't a thing back in LA in 2015. So like that was the first me hearing of anything like this. So I was like, wait, take me, because anything that will get me out of my like mundane, boring ass going to the gym lifting weights, I'm down. Like, let's do it. So we went, and the next day, I'm telling you, I was like, what did I just do? Like, this is amazing. I need to be here every fucking day. Like, what? Life changing. Like instantly, me and her, shout out to Madison Reinhardt for like changing my life. Me and her instantly became those people at work who were like signing up at noon. We were talking about our favorite instructors, what classes we were gonna take. Like people thought we were in a cult. Like people thought we were like not okay. You know, they were like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all talking about? Like, why are y'all the two sweaty people coming in here all happy and shit? Like, what's really going on? And how much money are you paying for a class? What? But we didn't care. We were doing it and we were in it. And so 6 months go by, and like SoulCycle puts their newest studio in Beverly Hills, and because the one I was going to was in West Hollywood. It came to Beverly Hills, and I had already had like a barter system, and they knew who I was as like the cupcake guy, and like I was trading cupcakes and they would trade me classes. And so I had fell into this guy's class named Nick Pradley. Hey Nick Pradley, if you're watching this, I love you so much. So Nick, like I took his class and I had walked out, and just like a normal day, and this was the first time me ever taking his class, because it was, you know, he was a new instructor there, and he wasn't a new instructor. He was a new instructor at that location, but he himself had been a seasoned instructor. He had been around for at least 7 years when I came on the scene. So I took his class and walked out, and he was like, "You, come here." And I was like, "Huh? Did I do something wrong? Like, I don't want no smoke. Like, what? And he was like, You, who are you? Do you just do that for fun? Like, you, what? And I was like, what? Like, was I on the wrong foot? He was like, no, you need to be doing this. You need to be on the bike. He was like, no, I'm not gonna hear nothing else. Write down your name, write down your number, meet me here at this time, this place. You're gonna ride this bike up here, because this is what you need to do. And he was one of those people that I consider to be an angel. Like, an angel is someone who doesn't want anything from you other than to let you know who you are, what your potential is, and what you deserve. Like, he was an angel, and like he literally, and he didn't want anything from me. You know, that's when you know, that's how you know you're in the midst of an angel. He didn't want nothing from me. And so he was the first person to ever be like, no, you need to do this. And like, I always say it all the time, like you never know how far you can go and how high you could fly until someone looks at you and tells you that they believe in you and that you are worth it. And he was the first person to do that outside of like my family members or my mom or my father, you know? And so I had started riding the bike for him, and he was calling up New York, and he was calling the big wigs in New York, and he was like, you guys need to come see this guy. Like, this guy, you need to see him, like give him an audition. And so eventually they did. And after the audition, SoulCycle was like, all right, we'll see you when we see you. Like, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, hey, I'm in training. Hey, I'm about to be an instructor. I'm going to training. In my mind, I'm thinking they're gonna pay for my flight. They're gonna pay for my hotel. They're about to set me up. I'm about to get paid while I'm doing it. And they were like, we'll see you when we see you. If you want this, come get it. And like, so I went home and I was like, I don't have any money. I work at Sprinkles for $9 an hour. Like, I don't know how they think this 20-year-old boy is just gonna up and move to New York with no money, nothing. And so I remember going home and being like, the only way that I can do this is if I sell my stuff, move out of my apartment, and sublet my apartment, and sell all my clothes, sell all my belongings. Like, all I had to my name was like a sweatshirt and SoulCycle workout clothes. That's it, because I had sold all my pants. I gave it away to any place that would buy it. I sold it. Like, if I could get $2 for pants that I would wear, I sold it. And so I remember going to New York, and on the plane, I literally told myself, I was like, James, you don't even have an apartment yet. And I was just like, all right, God, like, come through. But hopefully by the time the sun sets, you will secure an apartment, or you'll secure a place to stay. And so thankfully, by the time I got to New York, by the time the sun went down in New York, I did get an apartment. This guy like came, he met me out of Starbucks. He was like, follow me. And you know, I remember having one suitcase and that was it. And he was like, great, that works. And now I know why, because I'm telling you guys, it was 20 people in that 2-bedroom apartment, 20 people. And there were 10 boys in one room, 10 girls in the other, and we were all crammed in that room sharing one bathroom. And he was in his master bedroom doing drugs. And I was like, what? Like, oh my God, what did I get into? But I kept telling myself, you know what? Double for your trouble, James. You double for your trouble. Like, just put the blinders on, deal with it. Like, you got no money. It's gonna be hard, but like, you know, the end result will pay for the trouble it took you to get here. You will get double for your trouble. And like, I was so right, you know, like, this is my only means of supporting myself as a SoulCycle instructor. Like, I have gotten double for my trouble. And so, but I knew that I had to put that in my mind, because that was the only thing that was gonna keep me doing what I was doing. Like, I had no money. My parents were not supporting it. They were like, I think you're on drugs. Like, you have sold everything. You had it made in LA. Like, you had an apartment, a car, a job, and like, but in my soul, I wanted more. And so in their minds, they're like, when someone starts to sell everything and drop everything, they're thinking he must be on drugs, you know? So they weren't giving me any money. They thought I went crazy. And I remember having just enough money to ride the train. I remember I didn't even have enough money to buy like a monthly metro pass. I had to pay every time I get on the train. Like, I had just enough money for that. Like, and so if I had missed a train or something like that, or if I took a wrong train or wrong stop, I would have to get out and walk, because if I paid for another train, it would throw my entire budgeting system off. And so I remember me being like so stressed out in training, so stressed out, but that training wasn't hard. It was just having enough money to actually last 6 weeks in New York. That part was hard, you know? And I remember eating beans and rice for 6 months. And I remember eating like a protein bar at night for dessert and doing it all over again during the day, you know? And so if people wanted to socialize with me, I couldn't socialize. I couldn't go out to bars or anything like that, because again, I only had enough money to get on a train, come back home, go to sleep, get up, do it again. Like, it was just so, it was such a trying time. But after training, after that 6 weeks, I went back to New York. I went back to LA, and sorry y'all, I had to get a light. So yeah, I came out of training and I was like, hey, like, I'm about to be an instructor. Like, I just graduated, hey, you know? And like, I went back to my dad's house, because again, I had sold my apartment, and I didn't have my apartment at that time. And I was just like, no, Dad, and any day they're gonna call me. They're gonna call me tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow. They're gonna call me. Like, I graduated, everything's good. I got a job. And like, you know, it turned into 6 months of me waiting for SoulCycle to call me and tell me that I had a job, or let me know where I was gonna go, because, you know, right after training, you just see everyone that you train with like go to a market and like get on a schedule and like do this and do that. And I'm like, hey, all right, I'm next, hey. And like, I was one of the last people I was the last person to get picked out of my entire group. And so, you know, I just had to keep the faith and you know, and I just remember being like, you know, any day they're gonna call me. And so when they finally did call me, they were like, hey James, we have a studio for you in Boston, and like, you're gonna go to Boston. I was like, Boston? Like, what's in Boston? Like, growing up in LA, the only time I had ever heard of Boston was that movie called Road Trip. Y'all remember Road Trip, where he had that sex tape and he sent it to his girlfriend in Boston, and they had to all get in that car and like take a road trip to Boston to get the sex tape?
Thank you! Yes! What did I tell you?
Like, that was the only time I had heard of Boston. I was like, I am not interested. Like, what's in Boston? What am I doing in Boston? You know? And so, because in my mind, I thought that I was gonna be on the schedule in LA or like New York or somewhere, but like Boston. Shout out to Boston, because it was the best decision that I could have ever said yes to. And you know, my Boston people knows that I ride for them, and I just wanna quickly shout it out on this platform and just in general that like, the people in Boston, you guys have single-handedly changed my life. You guys have molded me and shaped me into the man that I am meant to be, and I am forever grateful for that. You know, like, I would not be who I am career-wise or mentally or skill-wise without you guys. And so I just wanna put it out there that like, Boston has my heart, and I will hold that chapter of my life so near and dear to my heart, because it got me to where I am today, and I am so appreciative. But yeah, I was in Boston, and I had built a really big community there, and like, I was there for about 4 years, and I remember like, you know, for the 4 years that I was there, like, I really did a great job at building community. Like, I was, you know, doing really good there and really well, and I was very comfortable. And you know, I just remember coming to Boston with such a humble heart and grateful, because I was praying to God for those 6 months, like, God, please, like, I don't want fame, I don't want fortune, I just want to be able to give people what's in me. You know, I don't want anything else. Like, I just want this job that I went to New York and dropped everything for. Like, that, those were the prayers that I was saying in my heart, you know? And so, yeah, after 4 years of just being comfortable and doing my thing there, like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, Boston is it. If I'm doing well here, there's no way a company would like remove someone from somewhere that they are doing exceptionally well in, you know? So I put it in my mind, like, this is where I'm gonna be. And so I got comfortable, and I was sitting back pretty. And it's just so funny, because, you know, the universe works that way. The minute you get comfortable or you get content and you sit back and everything's all gravy, like, it's like, let's go. Let's go, it's time. Chop, chop, let's go. And so that's when SoulCycle called me, and they were like, hey James, like, you know, there's this new studio that we built, it's called Hudson Yards, and we want you to open it, and we want you to be a part of it. And there's also this new experience that we're coming up with and developing, and you know, we wanted you to be a part of it, and would you do it? Would you pilot it? Would you film with us? And it's gonna be called Variis, and it's gonna be in people's homes. And I was like, hell yeah, like, sign me up, that sounds so cool. Like, thank you, I'm so honored, I'm like so grateful, yes. And so in my mind, even at that time though, I was like, oh, like, do you guys want me to take the train every once a week? Or they were like, no James, we want you to move here. Because in my mind, again, I'm thinking like, there's no way they're gonna take me out of Boston, like, there's no way. But they were like, yeah, we want you to live here in New York City, and would you come and like live here full time and work full time and open the studio? Would you pilot this experience? And I was like, yes. So yeah, that's how I got to where I am today. You know, I just really saw a dream, and I had no money. My parents weren't backing me. I had no support, and I was in such a stressed and difficult time in my life that like, I really had to depend on something higher than me. And I just, you know, said I will get double for my trouble. And I just want to encourage anyone out there who is ready to go after a dream, or they have a business or a venture in their hearts, or they want to branch out and do something different. Like, if it's in your heart and it's in your mind to do it, you should do it, and you should drop everything right now. Like, right now, no matter who looks at you crazy, no matter who thinks you're on drugs, do it, because that means that something at the end of that road is waiting on you. Something is there for you, and like, just do what I did, you know, do that double for trouble mantra. Just be like, double for my trouble. If I drop everything now and people are gonna ridicule me, people are gonna think I'm on drugs, people think I'm gonna do this, or, you know, and I'm gonna maybe not have as much money, but I'm gonna do it because the prize will outweigh the trouble it took to get the prize. So double for your trouble, do that. Oh, and going back to what I meant by coming out of training and throwing everything out of the window that I was taught, what I meant by that is that, like, in training, we were taught that you had to be very on it with social media. You had to post, you had to let people know where you are, you had to keep up with your numbers, you had to do things with your classes according to the numbers. When I came out of training again, I was just so grateful and so humble, and I had prayed to God that, like, I didn't want anything but this job. I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want a lot of money. I just wanted to offer someone, anyone, the gifts that were in me and the knowledge that was in me and the help that was in me. I just wanted to give it because I knew I had more. I remember being at Sprinkles, and while I was giving someone that red velvet cupcake, I remember telling myself, like, James, you are worth so much more than this. Like, you've got so much more to offer this lady on the other side of this counter than a damn cupcake. Like, I remember saying that to myself. And so that was the prayer, getting that far in my journey with going to New York and dropping everything, that I was praying to God, like, I don't want all the glitz, I don't want any of that, I just want to help. That's all I want to do. I want to give people all this heart that I got, you know, because I'm telling you guys, I just got on Instagram, and that's only because of quarantine and I'm bored, and like, I'm like, why not? But like, in Boston, you would have not heard about me, you would have not known about me, like, you wouldn't have known who I was unless you came to my class. And that was all I needed, and that was all I wanted. And I was okay. I didn't need social media. I didn't need to do that because what I was focused on was my product. I was focused on the peoples in my room. I wasn't going home at night and like posting. I was up at night talking to mentors and my mom and my parents. And I remember on my way to work, like, every day before work, I would call my mom, and I know it's like 3 hours ahead, but I would wake her up at like 4 in the morning and be like, Mom, I'm going to class, and like, tell me something that you would tell me when I was a kid. Tell me what I used to do as a kid. Like, who was I? Like, what is there something you remember about me, or something you want to say today, like, through me to these people? Like, tell me so that I have something to give. And like, that was where my motivation was, because I didn't want anyone to come in my room not walking away from this experience changed for the better. You know, that was my intention, and that was what was in my heart and in my soul, is that's all I wanted for people. I just encourage people or anyone looking at this to, you know, if you have clients or you want to be of service for that service. If you're in the food industry, if you are in the clothing industry, if you are an actor or whatever you want to be, focus on what you can do for people, not what the job itself can give you, because people can smell that in your energy. People can tell when you are doing it because you want to be famous, or you want, you know, the clout, or you want this, or you want that, and then people are like, but what about me? Like, I came to your class so you could help me get to where I want to be, but you thinking about you. And like, I think that that's the energy that I carried when I went into my rooms. People knew that I was there for them, and to this day I'm there for them. I'm rocking with them. Like, this don't matter to me. This apartment don't matter to me. This don't matter to me. It don't. I could lose this tomorrow and I will be okay. I will be okay, because I would be able to sleep at night knowing that I helped someone, that I was of service to someone, that I changed someone's day. Like, if this was taken away from me tomorrow, I will go back to my dad's house and I would, the biggest smile, and I'll say, Dad, it's time for me to do something else, or, you know, it's time for me to reroute my plan. And I would be okay with that in my spirit. I would be all right. I've told my classes that countless times. I'm like, I could die a happy man now. I could, like, cause I'm good, cause I just gave you what you needed. I've ignited your path, and that's all I woke up to today. And so, yeah, you guys, you know, if you've got a dream, go after it. Drop everything. Don't be afraid. Carry God on your side. Pray and just say you will get double for your trouble, and go after it. Do not allow anyone's opinions. Do not ask for approval. The world is yours, all right? This life is yours. You've only got one. You cannot live it on accident. You cannot live it on accident. And if you go and you fail, at least you can say you win. That's all that matters. So remember, Jupiter James here, I love you, I'm always rooting for you. The sun, the moon, stars, and everything else is yours. Just reach out and grab it. I love y'all. Have a good one. Bye.